How long had I been asleep? When I came to my senses, something unfamiliar came into view. Of course, it wasn't something cliched like an unknown ceiling, but an indiscernible system message. Achievement unlocked. Met the genius modular Mew. Achievement points, plus 200. Achievement points? That term had never appeared in the cyber module necromancer. But having read plenty of web novels, I could easily guess what it meant. I say, this is my special perk. A special ability, or rather, a cheat often granted to characters possessed by web novels. It seemed I, too, had become such a possessed one and received this perk. I don't know what it's for yet, I've never needed it, and I don't know how useful it'll be, but hey, it can't hurt to have it. Judging by the name points, I suppose they function like currency to buy special items or unlocked rewards once I'd accumulated enough. And judging from this achievement, it seemed I'd earn points whenever I formed relationships with characters from the original story or result key events. Perks are the driving force that moves the possessed protagonist. Whoever brought me into this world must intend to steer me the same way. Well, I expected that much, so there was nothing to be surprised about. In any case, I'd need to investigate that side of things later. Honestly, though, achievement points weren't on my mind right now. I had a far more pressing issue to solve. What? Where is Mew? I needed to meet one of my favorite Snow, the only person in this world who could save my life. I carefully lifted myself and searched for her. The surroundings were filled with mysterious machinery and surgical instruments. On the monitor before me, someone's biometric data, including heart rate, scrolled in real time. Upon closer inspection, it was data about my own body. A moment later, I realized I was lying on an operating table exactly like the ones you see in dental clinics. So it was that kid who moved me here. I'd collapsed near the entrance, after all. Electrodes were attached all over my body. It made sense to infer that Mew had carried me here and begun her examinations. Then she must have panicked and fled as soon as she saw me waking up. Though I'd never seen her face properly, I knew her personality all too well. Despite possessing the world's greatest technological prowess, her self-esteem was rock bottom. Extremely wary of strangers, she hid away in this lab and never went outside. She'd even disguised the entrance as a vending machine because she didn't want to receive visitors directly. She's the ultimate shut-in. Even if she panicked, there's no way she'd run outside. So she must be hiding somewhere nearby. I scanned the cluttered piles of equipment and, in under 10 seconds, spotted something trembling in a corner of the room. Found you. What I discovered looked like a snake with a mechanical body. Knowing exactly what it was, I ripped off the electrodes attached to it and approached. The mechanical snake shook its head frantically, but I didn't stop. Clearing aside the scattered items around the snake, out popped a small, pretty girl. Finally, I've found you, Mew. It was a silent scream. At my words, the girl I'd found in the corner seemed on the verge of fainting. Undeterred, I carefully observed her. Her long black hair with a blue sheen reached from her waist down to her ankles, and her blue eyes glistened with fear. The mechanical apparatus I'd likened to a snake was connected to the tailbone at her lower back. This is dangerous. Let's get it out of the way. I forced the stun gun from her trembling hand and tossed it aside. It was held upside down, so she couldn't have used it properly anyway, but better safe than sorry. With her self-defense weapon gone, Mew's face drained of color as terror intensified. Thinking she'd lost her last lifeline, she clasped her hands together and unleashed a rapid-fire apology. I'm sorry! I'm sorry! I'm sorry! Please don't kill me! Spare my life! What did you just say? I'm sorry! It was a slip of the tongue! Please forgive me! Her trembling form stirred sympathy and, admittedly, a desire to tease her a bit. After all, I was face to face with the character I'd long admired in my mind. Like a fan encountering their idol in person. Normally, I'd have lost all self-control, erupted in cheers, and smiled until my cheeks hurt. But fortunately, Erin's ego reigned in such frivolous behavior. I let out a short sigh to compose myself and calmed her. Rest assured, I have no intention of harming you. Should this damned body act on impulse and harm her even slightly, I'd rather sever my own hand to stop it. Really? Yes, I'm here solely to find a cure for this wretched illness afflicting me. Why, you mean the genetic overcast? So you finished the tests while I was unconscious? I'm sorry, please don't hit me. I won't hit you. I'm not here to scold you. If anything, this speeds up our conversation, which is good cough. My earlier excitement triggered another coughing fit. Miu hurriedly rose and supported me. Hey, are you all right? But. Av over here carefully. She half dragged me back onto the operating table. Aaron's ego ached at being touched, but I forcibly suppressed it. Once I was lying down, Miu reattached the electrodes and spoke cautiously. The nanomachines analyze the user's genes to rewrite their own code and evolve, but theoretically, there's an astronomical, albeit tiny, chance of errors, and that leads to, well, it's leading the user to death. If the body is like a smartphone, the nanomachines are the underlying OS and the modules are the apps. For example, with the alloy skeleton module, nanomachines rewrite your bones into a metal alloy in seconds to days. When you remove that module, the nanomachines amplify your regenerative ability and restore your original bones. But if the nanomachines, which manage all that body modification and regeneration, malfunction, they could cause critical issues like metal-reinforced bone growing in your lungs or your skin failing to regenerate, leaving exposed muscle. How much time had passed since I fell asleep? There was no outward change in my appearance, but metal was sprouting from various parts of my body. I've been taking inhibitors that steadily dissolve foreign substances in my system. Thanks to them, whenever I cough, my respiratory tract only feels a bit fray. But if metal were to grow around my aorta, I'd lose my life in an instant. The attending physician called it an incurable disease. Genetic overcasts. That was the name of my condition. Though, strictly speaking, it wasn't even an official disease name. It existed only in theory. Stingray Corporation advertises their combat nanomachine, Atom, as flawless. So they had to present such a disease as a non-existent lie. They secretly erased cases where patients, against astronomical odds, fell ill. Developing a cure for a handful of patients would cost a fortune cheaper just to make the patients vanish. Not even the heir to the family escapes it. In fact, this was their chance to quietly dispose of the monstrosity they'd created, Aaron Stingray. Even if there were a covert cure, they likely wouldn't offer it to me. So the only person I could rely on was the frightened girl before me. Modular Miu, I'll be direct, can you cure this disease? In the original story, Miu used her technology to revive the nearly dying protagonist as an adaptive with overwhelming cheat abilities. So, I judged that she could surely cure my disease. If she says she can't, I die. All my plans hinged on the premise that Miu's technology cures my illness. If the world's foremost nanomachine expert deemed it impossible, there'd be no recourse. No academy visits, no meetings with the protagonist or other characters, no watching their deeds from a safe distance, none of it would be possible. I want an honest answer. Can I survive? Anxiously, I waited for her lips to move, feeling like a criminal awaiting a death sentence. Auntie that. Miu's eyes darted about. It was hard to tell if she trembled out of nerves before a stranger or guilt at crushing my hopes. Then she rendered her verdict. I can cure it, but I couldn't help but sigh. It was hard to describe the feeling. This should have been a reason to leap for joy, yet I simply felt silent relief. Then Miu added a caveat. But there are a few problems. Problems? But if you need a fee, I'll double whatever you ask. And no, it's not about money, though I'd accept payment, it's not that. Miu shook both hands out in front of her, her mechanical tail whipped in agreement. At first, most of the modules you're currently using will become unusable after treatment, is that okay? Unusable? What? It's impossible to fix the nanomachines in your body that have already triggered genetic overcast, so the only way is to inject Pandora. Pandora is the name of the nanomachine I developed. I see. I already knew. It was Miu's custom nanomachine, Pandora, that saved the original protagonist, Shade. That time to explain the exact principle. That's enough. No matter how many technical terms she spewed, I wouldn't understand, and when Miu talks shop, she gets excited for hours. My body is in no shape to indulge that right now. In short, you'd replace the current nanomachine, Atom, in my body. I can't expect modules tailored for Atom to be fully compatible with Pandora. Compatibility was crucial. Even among adaptives who received the same Atom, certain users could or couldn't use specific modules. I decided quickly. I don't care which. Honestly, it stung. The total level of my 26 combat modules exceeded 100, though most were standard rather than mystic modules, each boasted top-tier performance. Losing them meant giving up the terrifying power Aaron displayed in the original. But it's an unavoidable choice. Life or power. If forced to choose, it's obviously life. Abilities can be rebuilt. Life lost is gone forever. Besides, they were out of reach anyway. As I said before, to slow the disease's spread, I deactivated all modules. I had no need to cling to strength I couldn't use. And from my earlier test against those blood-fanged brutes, even without modules, this body could take down most adaptives in one strike. So, I needn't worry about a power vacuum. Above all, who knows? I might awaken a new power. In the original, Shade awakens special abilities through Miyu's Pandora. Similarly, if I replace Adam with Pandora, I might gain some new power. All things considered, sacrificing my current modules to cure my disease was far more advantageous. Wait a moment. A thought struck me. I fixed my gaze on empty air and muttered various words under my breath. Then suddenly, point shop. As I muttered it, a new window appeared in my vision. In the lower right corner was the text 200 points. I quickly scanned the shop's listings and nodded to myself in satisfaction. Worry that I'd weaken. Such concerns were pointless.